I'm a person of many interests.
They just throw money at you. Being in the air is something I've always wanted.
We all know what happens then.
Save lives.
My life took a different direction.
And I took a career test online, believe it or not. People think it was a very taboo thing to do. I'd rather live with failure than regret.
Marched myself across the tarmac over to the flight school. Avionics got me hooked. Now I'm here.
I need that in these little planes too.
If you're thinking about it, just do it.
Give it a shot.
You know, it's time for a change.
Hey guys, Wayne here from Sling Pilot Academy. I'm super pumped for this week's video. Here at Sling, at least 50% of our students are career changers. People that always wanted to be a pilot, or people that have got bored with their career, decided to make the bold move to retrain and start an entirely new career. This week we sit down with 4 of those students. We talk about their experience here at Sling. They have an absolute blast. Enjoy the video.
My name's Ned, and I am 37 years old, and I am in the private pilot stage right now.
Hi, my name's Kate. I'm 35 years old, and I'm almost done with the program working on my CFI, CFII.
My name's Jose. I'm 39 years old, and I'm working on my private. I'm in the Sling Club program.
Hey everyone, I'm Chase, a student here at Sling Pilot Academy, and I'm 29 years old. I'm working on my IFR certificate, check ride in 3 days, so wish me luck.
I was in carpentry. I did fine furniture for 15 years. I loved it, but not sustainable. Hard on the body, and also didn't make that much money. So I had my own business for 7 years. One-off pieces like credenzas, beds, anything really. Tables. 2014 to 2020, around there. The pandemic hit. I stopped my own business. Couldn't do it anymore. And then I went to work for somebody else, and I gave myself 2 years to make a decision on what the next step would be, and that would be start my own business again or start completely anew. And you know, I chose this.
Prior to starting Sling last August, I was living in Minnesota for about 10 years, and I was a full-time firefighter paramedic for the capital city of St. Paul, Minnesota, on the largest department in the state. I had a great crew, great experience on the fire department, but I decided I needed something different. I'm a person of many interests, hobbies, what have you. One thing that being on the fire department taught me was how to keep in shape, and I branched into strongman, powerlifting, natural bodybuilding. I did some boxing, so many different avenues of physical fitness. I actually did do a natural physique show 3 years ago by now. Physical fitness is something I will always take with me, no matter my age, no matter my career. So that's one big takeaway from the fire department that I have.
When I was 18, I went to art school for cinematography, and I have been doing lighting in Hollywood for the last 20 years. I love it. I've been on massive $100 million sets and I made a decent living doing lighting for television and movies. No windows for 12 to 15 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6, sometimes 7. And they just throw money at you to keep filming because they have deadlines. And being in the air is something I've always wanted. I actually took a discovery flight when I was 19, and while I was in film school, but I couldn't do both at the same time because it was expensive, film school and going to flight school. And so I decided to finish film school, and I started making money and started traveling the world. And but now I want to go back to what I love, which is flying. Club is basically you go at your own pace when your schedule is when you're available to come fly. And one of the bad things is I have to relearn things, which I end up paying more money. If I take a 3-month break because I'm working on a big movie and I don't want to fly on the weekends, or instructors are too busy to fly on weekends. But I'm currently not working because of the writer's strike. So I've been at Sling since the writer's strike happened. I've been like full-time here, almost like 3 days a week. So sort of a pro in doing it right now. I was an assistant chief lighting technician. I think it's amazing because there's little tools that Sling needs to buy to make it a little better, but you guys are doing great.
I worked in event production ever since I graduated college, all the way through to the start of the pandemic, and we all know what happens then. I started working in Las Vegas out of college and doing everything from poker tournaments and slot tournaments to Super Bowl parties, New Year's, big New Year's bashes, everything like that, till I worked my way over to Los Angeles. And since I've been in LA, I've been doing mainly red carpet premieres for movies and TV shows. I mean, everyone has their own pandemic story, but in the entertainment world, I'm sure box office revenue went from billions of dollars worldwide to overnight $0, and just kind of shut down the whole world. But specifically, one of the first affected was the entertainment industry, as you know.
I worked way more.
You saved lives, so.
I grew up next to Santa Monica Airport, and the airplanes used to fly over the house that I grew up in, and I was always looking up and amazed. And I played with remote control airplanes and went to the model shop and built airplanes. And my dad always flew gliders, and I would go up with him occasionally, up until like my teens, and then I kind of just forgot about it because my life took a different direction. And then my brother, he actually was a student here at Sling, and he became an instructor, and now he has a job. And so he kind of reignited my interest in flying and in the career. I was at a pivotal point in my life, and I saw all those things, and I remembered how much I loved it, and I went for it.
I worked my tail off to get my fire job. Getting a full-time fire job it's a big challenge, and I had to build a brand new resume and skill set basically to apply to fire departments. There was something telling me that I should try something different. I was looking at different career routes for the last 2-3 years, I would say, of my 6 years in St. Paul. I was looking into police work, very close to joining the Navy. I kept exploring, nothing felt quite right. And I took a career test online, believe it or not, and pilot was on there. That's something I'd never thought of. I just simply didn't think of it. The more I researched it, the more I was like, this might actually fit my interests, my hobbies, my skill set really, really, really well. I found Sling, I took an intro flight, and I moved from Minnesota to California, I think 3 months later. Took a leave from my job. People think it was a very taboo thing to do. You just don't leave the fire department. It's a good pension. It provides many opportunities to promote, but my interest was not there, and I decided I'd rather live with failure than regret. Came here, and there was a piano, there was a gym, really nice planes. It spoke to me, and I said, I can do this. I think I signed up the next day.
I have to give the credit to my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother is from Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, and she would always go back and forth to the island. I was raised in Southern California, so we'd always pick her up. And in Ontario, we'd actually pick her up. And in Ontario, back in the day, you could go to the planes, and I would see these massive planes pull up, and I was just like, wow, this thing's amazing. Then also my mom would take us to the airport just to watch planes take off and land. And it just sparked my interest ever since I was little to want to fly, and didn't think it was possible, just like I didn't think film was possible until I actually went on the set when I was little. And I saw a YouTube video, I think it was from the Sling media team. No, I was kidding. And they reignited my interest.
I just always liked airplanes since I was super little, and my grandpa was actually a pilot. He owned a small charter service in the Pacific Northwest. Unfortunately, he died in an airplane accident actually when my dad was really small still. And I always kind of knew about that, but really didn't know that much about it. But it turns out he has a really awesome story, and ended up flying. The University of Washington paid for one of his planes to be outfitted with skis, and he flew them into the Olympic Mountains and would drop off. Yeah, it was really cool, yeah. He would drop off supplies to them every other day. They ended up naming the airport after him, so I always it was this little kind of mysterious family history, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. And then when I was in high school, a neighbor down the street from us had a Cessna 172 and asked one day if I wanted to go flying, and I said, yes. He took me up for my first flight in a small plane, and literally as soon as we landed, I marched myself across the tarmac over to the flight school and said I want to learn how to fly. While I was in high school, I actually finished all of my requirements to get my private license, with the exception of the written test and the actual practical test as well. They just seemed way too daunting, way too scary, and I think I told myself, kind of like in the back of my head, like, okay, I learned how to fly an airplane, like, you know, check that box, like done, and left aviation all the way until through college, and then summers between college, kind of picked it back up again, went up with some flight instructors, got a few hours here and there, but again, it was just kind of an interest of mine. I didn't think I wanted to do it as a career. Searched for a flight school, and kind of same story, kind of went all over the place. Went to a flight school in North Carolina, one in Arizona, found Sling here in California, wanted to make my way back to Los Angeles, and went up for a test flight with Jean, and you know, the avionics got me hooked.
So my brother went here, and he was an instructor, and he went through all the courses. Yeah, he became an instructor, and I saw him and how happy he is now. And when I wanted to change my careers, I took a discovery flight with an instructor here and was sold. I think I got lucky because I hear nothing but, you know, not bad things, but just how good Sling is and how amazing it is here, and I think I lucked out just by falling into it. My favorite part is the flying and also all the wonderful people that I've met so far, and my instructors are great and knowledgeable and friendly, and the planes are amazing, and yeah, it's a great place to be.
So when I did that career test and pilot was on there, I looked into everything. How do I do this? Where are good places to learn to fly? How much is it going to cost? All the things. Even joining like social media groups, I found a lot of answers, like do an accelerated program. That's going to get me through the training the quickest. It's probably the best option nowadays if you do want a full-blown career change at my age. And so in that research, I found that the better the weather, probably the faster you're going to learn to fly. So that's when I decided, okay, maybe not the school in Minnesota. We're gonna try California. I think Arizona came up, maybe Utah, Florida. California kind of spoke to me. I always wanted to be in San Diego. LA's close enough. I took the discovery flight, and I think I signed up the next day. Was planning to start in May 2022, but ended up starting in August, which was just fine.
Well, I found Sling doing just search on YouTube, I think it was, and I came upon their YouTube channel and realized it was down the street from where I live. And I had just had a death in my family, and I was in the grieving stage of I could die tomorrow and have regrets about wanting to fly. And I called that same day Sling, and then they're like, you want to come right now? I was like, well, what about tomorrow? That was a little too, they were excited to book a discovery flight. And so I went the next day, and I did my discovery flight with Leslie. It was awesome. Then I signed up to be in the club, which I still am, that same day, and started taking classes the next week. I had also looked at other schools, but just to fly in like a 40 or 50-year-old airplane with analog gauges sort of didn't speak to me as much as a beautiful glass cockpit.
The day after my intro flight with Jean, I was at like a holiday party at someone's recording studio in Santa Monica, and I ran into a friend I hadn't seen in a really long time, and they asked what I was up to, just because it was still kind of like entertainment industry was still just starting back up. Events weren't really big yet. So they're asking me, what are you up to? And I said, oh, considering flight school. I went and did an intro flight down in Torrance the other day, and she literally said, stop. And then she turned around, walked away, and then 30 seconds later came back with someone else and was like, Chase, talk to Stu. And I was like, oh, okay, who's this guy? Turns out he went through the program here at Sling, and now he's flying for SkyWest. I actually think he just last week got on with JetBlue now. So he answered all of the little random questions that I had, and any of the concerns I had was very direct and forthcoming with. Yeah, it was kind of serendipitous, I guess, that I randomly ran into this guy who went through the program here, and now I'm here.
Patience and also accuracy and precision. Also a little bit of math.
I know I'm an older learner, but I don't regret starting now because I need the skills that I have from the previous careers. I learned to stay calm under pressure. I learned grit. I learned bravery. I need that in these little planes too.
The film industry taught me a lot as far as deadlines, being on time, organized, and lists. I always have to go through lists in film, and making sure I have the proper equipment and going through checklists. I sort of like put the two together. It's like making sure I have everything that I need. I wish I would have started sooner, just a few years, but I think the maturity, and since I'm paying for it, it's like I gotta be there. I'm paying for this, so like I'm not gonna slack.
Just being organized, like you need to be organized in the cockpit, like let alone like with your notes, with your charts, like, and your mind just needs to be organized. And then the other one is just stress management, I suppose. Producing events is incredibly stressful. Really anything in the entertainment industry is incredibly stressful.
If you're thinking about it and you love flying, I'd say do it, because if I was watching this video, I don't know, 2, 5, 7 years ago, I would have probably helped to have seen other people my age at the point in my life where I was already, I don't know, like 20 years into a career and scared to take the jump. But seeing other people, you know, such as you guys and me, myself, you know, I hope it helps. And I'd say do it. If you're thinking about it, just do it and make it work.
Definitely be like a psycho fake detective. Try to figure out all you can about aviation, how you do it. Like I said, I joined a bunch of social media groups. I learned to not be afraid to ask the dumb questions, down to like questions about headphones, because I didn't know anything about pilot headphones. But get those answers and decide if this is something you're going to commit at least 100% to. If you are, figure out your finances. I've had to work part-time to full-time the entire program, and that's how I operate, but that is also very difficult. If you can figure it out where you don't necessarily have to work as much, or you're a little bit more stable financially, I would advise that. But definitely do your research, get organized, and take the jump. Just give it a shot.
The community's great, and everyone helps each other. I've had people just tutor me on the ground for fun just because they love it so much. Just don't have regrets in life. I have several friends who are like, I can't believe you're doing that, and you know, you've been doing this for almost 20 years, and I'm like, I know, it's time for a change.
If you haven't gone for an intro flight, just go. I mean, that sealed the deal for me, I suppose, you know, especially here at Sling with the advanced avionics and everything, but just do it. Jump in.
Thank you.
Not too bad, not too bad. It wasn't too painful.
Not too painful.
Yeah.
So don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. It really helps us with our channel. We really appreciate it.
We'll start with Ned. We won't start with Ned.
You can start with me because I just get it. Let's do this. Let's do it. Yeah, exactly.
I can care less about Brad Pitt. I'm not gonna put up with that in the video.
Make sure to show her bodybuilding photos.